Good morning. It's been a tumultuous night here in the Greater Kruger National Park. Lions have just been calling to the south of us. We heard a buffalo moaning deeply during the night and hoping perhaps, well, not for his sake, but for our sake, that perhaps he's been attacked by the lions that are calling now. We've been out. We got out a bit earlier today to see if we can't find them. Nothing yet. Brent is on some other tracks. He is driving around with Andrew at the moment. I have got the inimitable Vium behind us, who was doing a lot of fixing of things yesterday. And in the control room we have Tara, warm and snug with a cup of coffee and about 7 radios in her hands. Don't know how she does that, really. So it's a beautiful morning here. It's much warmer than it was yesterday, probably sitting at around 14 or 15 degrees Celsius, which I think sits at around 69 degrees, no, about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And our plan today is to head out and just circle this area and see if we can't come up with the tracks of some lions, and yeah, we'll see what goes on from there. So we're going to go off to the south and then to the west, west, and see what we can find. And please remember, any questions you have, hashtag Safari Live or questions at wildearth.tv if you're on the email. And we'd love to hear from you. We love your questions, especially in the morning. It helps warm our brains up and just generates a great conversation. And you're so good at doing that. And we've got Lions audio. Okay, we're going to move now. Do hope that's not off the reserve. Right, let's get on with it. Well heard, Viam. If you're a new viewer, you're especially welcome. Right, lions, here we come. I'm not sure if you heard them or not. Sounds like a male calling. We had tracks of a male and a female just earlier. We're a little bit far from here. Lion's call will of course travel up to 5 kilometers in the night, especially on a clear night with a bit of moisture in the air. Shot if you see anything. We'll just go along to the next clearing here and turn off, and then we'll have another listen. I think you've got an idea of where that was coming from. Just keep a lookout for tracks on the road. A lot of questions over the last few days about the speed at which we drive and how fast can we drive. At the moment we're doing about 15 kilometers an hour, which is not very fast, but it will look quite fast to you on your screens. I was hoping they were going to pop out somewhere around here where we are now. Looking for tracks. We do know those are lots of hyena tracks everywhere. Plenty of, here we've got lion tracks on the road now. Unfortunately, this is our southern boundary. Lion tracks going along here. Going in and out. You see any there, Liam, going across there? Looks like they crossed. I'm afraid the sadness is that they have, looks like they've crossed over our boundary. Oh, that's very, very sad. We're just going to sit here briefly and have a quick listen and see if they don't call again. There you can see the tracks, and that's pointing in a due southerly direction, which of course is entirely selfish of any lion that we want to see. So I'm just going to sit here for 20 seconds and see if we don't hear them again. I'll tell you what else we can hear. Lots of francolins again. Grey lories. Some brown-headed parrots. The ubiquitous southern grey-headed sparrow. But I'm afraid no lions. Well, the luck has not been with Jiga over the last 2 days. So what I suspect happened is they tried to kill one of those buffalo. Remember, there was quite close to here a few days ago, we saw a herd of bachelor bulls and a cow and a very young calf. And I suspect that what happened was those lions probably tried to get that calf last night. And if they are not here anymore, they wouldn't have finished it in a night. So I suspect those bulls probably chased him off. And we had a great question about how would the bulls protect the calf? Unusual situation where there's only one cow and one calf in a little herd like that. And would they protect the calf? And I said not directly, they wouldn't necessarily surround the calf, but they'd certainly chase off any predators. And I suspect, oh, here we go, lion, on the road, coming straight towards us. Big black-maned lion. I'm going to sit right here and not move. Let's just see him come down here. They often call, he is calling, he's contact calling. Isn't that wonderful? Here comes the king. We're right on the southern boundary. So this road is the southern boundary. And there's another lion actually contact calling just north of us. They're calling north of us. We're going to follow him. We're going to follow that lion. He's definitely gone north. Maybe these tracks went in and out of the reserve last night. So they're definitely, he's running now. They may be on a kill. This is most exciting, especially after the day of eating trees yesterday. Right, there he is. Stations one male lion mobile north from southern boundary towards Treehouse Dam. Others contact calling from the same area. Right, hold on tight, everybody. Vium, put your seatbelt on. That's actually a young male. Doesn't have a full mane yet, so that's fascinating. Just try and get around him a bit. He's definitely following up on the contact calls from another male or from another animal. Roundabout where I thought they had been calling from. Sorry, you'll have to excuse the jerkiness. He's moving relatively fast. He's also got a very fat pot belly on him, which looks like he's supped on something last night. Try and get a decent shot of him fairly soon. Perfectly colored. I do have to go onto the radio, I'm sorry. We just need to help the other rangers get in as they do for us. There you can see him walking through there. He's definitely walking with a purpose. Lions don't often do unless there's some meat in the offing. Go ahead here, Vium. Whoops, sorry about that. I missed that rather enormous stump on the bush, on the ground. There he is. He's coming through straight in front of us. You can see how he's just totally unaffected by us driving through here. That's the advantage of being the apex predator. See, it just melts into this color. Negative animal mobile north from southern cut line toward look on it to the east of Treehouse Dam. Oof, that thing's gonna punch us in the face. Hold on tight. He is following a very well-worn game path here. There's the other lion. Look at that. There's another lioness. They've definitely got, looks like blood on her. Oh, look at that. They've definitely got blood on the nose. It's a young male. I don't know who these are. There are more? There are more just off to the side? She's got very orange eyes. She might be the orange-eyed lion from the Nkuhuma Pride, I'm not sure. definitely lots more or 2 or 3 more calling. I have to say my heart rate has gone up somewhat. That's spectacular. Okay, we're going to go across to Brent. He's found a leopard. We'll see you right now.
Welcome, guys. Sorry, we're just going through some thick bush, and just disappearing in front of me is a female leopard. I haven't had a good look at her yet. I think it could be Shadow, but she's about to go into a timberti thicket, and I'm going to try my best to stay with her, but I might have to move out and go around this thick area to try find her on the other side. And I hear you've been having an amazing time with James and with those big male lions, so we're just going to give you a quick look at her. Move forward a little bit. Moving, there she disappears. So we're just going to stay with her for a couple of minutes while we have her, and then we'll go back to James and those lions very soon, and I will try to stay with her and move around this really thick area. And you can see how well that camouflage works. It's amazing. I think she's heard something, that's why she stopped. So we came into the area where I had those tracks yesterday, and as we were driving, spotted her at about 200 meters. I just saw the white tip of her tail disappearing into the bush. I got very excited and had to drive far to catch up with her. So she's going to disappear. We're going to try stay with her, and then we're going to send you back. We're going to send you back to James now and those lions. But what a great morning, guys. Sorry, I forgot to say, my name is Brent. I've got Andrew on camera. But lion and leopard already, and we haven't got started. We're going to try to go around the other side and see where she comes out. But in the meantime, we're going to go back to James, and we'll be back with you, hopefully still with Shadow, a little later.
Hello everybody, welcome back. They are moving up and down this road. All action happening today. Sorry, excuse me a second, I just need to be on the radio briefly. Aubrey, you need to come to the east of Treehouse Dam, I think on the road that joins with Philemon's cut line. There are a few around here. They're contact calling, walking all over the place. Aubrey, we are not north. We are not north of Treehouse Dam. It sounds like we are south of Treehouse Dam. She's got blood all over her mouth. Isn't that beautiful? I don't know who these lions are. We're just going to stay with her for now. The male's obviously gone off.
Female behind us.
There's a female coming right behind us, about to climb into Viam's lap. Go. She's looking again behind. Can't hear anything. Look at this. They've spotted something. They've definitely eaten last night. In fact, they've definitely eaten fairly recently. I'm just going to wait here, not move just yet, just to see what happens. How or why this pride got separated is really difficult to say. I'm going to follow the females. The young male is behind us somewhere. I'm pretty sure this isn't the Nkuhuma Pride. I mean, I think it's unlikely. Ooh, here we go. They've spotted something up ahead. And there are more lions calling from up ahead. Oh, look, there's another lion coming. There's another lioness coming. Behind us. And another lion behind us. Look at this, watch this. Isn't that wonderful? So a bit of speculation that this could be Junior and the orange-eyed lioness could be the sort of senior lioness from the Nkuhuma Pride. I think that's pretty good speculation. I'm not sure where the young male's gone. These lions are now 10 feet from me. And this orange-eyed girl was eyeing me out earlier. Oh, this is just a most glorious morning now. Just going to reposition slightly so that the vehicle behind us can get a good look. There are two more lions coming behind us.
I've got enough lions for themselves.
Okay. William says they've got enough lions behind us for us not to worry. So we'll stop here. So we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 females. The two just coming up behind us are 2 sub-adults.
I'd want to turn.
I'm just going to turn slightly. They're all coming up behind now. I'm going to wait here. I'm not going to move. They all seem to be coming up here now. This is very special. And a scraggly youngster here. As far as I understand it, if this is the Nkuhuma Pride, they are pretty much on their southern boundary. It does look like them. And they're all just contact calling, even though they're close by each other. There's another lion calling to the south, way to the south. I can only just hear it. So you can see it looks to me like their blood is up. You know, they've had a night of hunting. They've definitely eaten. You can see the scraggly youngsters yet again have struggled to manipulate any form of the kill. But they still have eaten. So they'll put some condition on. Just a beautiful sight, that of lions walking down the road in the morning. Not sure where the young male's gone. Hello, Patty in Michigan. I really love this question. Thank you for it. You want to know, basically you've been told that lions don't see individuals on a vehicle, they only see the outline. But you noticed that lioness, that one of the orange eyes was staring right at me. And that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like she was looking into my soul, as you say. I am not a believer necessarily that they don't recognize us. I mean, as a friend of mine once said, a leopard or a lion can recognize a monkey's ear sticking out from behind a tree. So to say that they don't know what we are I just don't buy it. You know, if we're sitting in a tree, they know what we are. So I just think that they don't associate us the same way as if we're away from the vehicle on foot. So yes, I do believe they recognize us as human beings. Whether they make that association or not, I'm not sure. But I tell you what I do think is that and I don't know if she recognized me as an individual. I can smell the blood on them now. It's a strong smell of sort of carrion. They are heading south. So whether she recognized me as an individual, I don't know. Well, one would like to think so, but who knows? Patty, lovely question. Go, a bit of play acting. Hello, Yvonne. You say that they look like they're behaving slightly differently to me than they have before. I think it's because their blood is up. I don't think that it's I don't think that it's because they necessarily are behaving in a different way. And by their blood is up, I mean they've eaten, they've hunted, and they're just full of adrenaline, and they're now full of meat. And I wish I could describe the smell to you. They smell like the inside of an animal. And they look to be crossing south, which is a bit sad. They basically smell like my first year zoology dissection laboratory. So they've had their mouths right in the guts of something last night. And that's why I think you're noticing a difference in behavior, Yvonne. They often talk about men who've been in a fight, or sportsmen being in or having their blood up. And that's what's going on here. Unfortunately, this is the southern boundary, and that's where they're going. This can't be the Nkuhuma Pride. Maybe, I don't know if any of the viewers have seen whether or not the Nkuhuma Pride has ever gone south of us or not. From what I understood, they were sort of mainly north of us. Pride is now crossing south over Gari Main into Little Gari. So unfortunately we can't follow them through there, but we'll stay with the remainder. What a beautiful sighting. Well, I'm afraid, people, that's pretty much it for these chaps. What I'm going to try and do is go back inside there and see if we can't find the young male and perhaps find what they've killed. Amingangeni. Oh. Sor. Satika. Agunamal. Okay. Wasn't that wonderful? What a great start to the morning. Especially after the incredibly quiet times we had yesterday. Hello, Elizabeth in Minneapolis. Another nice question. We want to know, would the animals react a little differently if somebody stood up in the vehicle? You don't have a picture of Viam, but Viam is pretty much, I mean, if he's pretty exposed on the back, and a lot of the vehicles here, they don't put the trackers inside when they go to a lion sighting, so there's a person sitting right on the front of the vehicle, and they're pretty exposed. So, you know, for a long time I was told, and we always told our guests, don't stand up in the vehicle, and I mean, to a large extent, there are very good reasons for that. Do they then suddenly react? No, I don't believe they do. Not if they're habituated to vehicles. So if Viam stood up, Viam's moving around like a jack-in-the-box on the back of the vehicle to try and get good pictures. And I don't think lions that are habituated to vehicles actually react that much to us in the vehicle. Very different on foot. They will normally run. So we'll see if we can't find the male. I suspect he'll cross probably just behind them. Hello, Rosie B. Thank you for your question. We had today, you want a recap of what we saw, sort of the demographics, as we looked at that beautiful shot of the dust in the rising African sun. We saw 4 adult females, 2 sub-adults, and 1 young male. And then we've got another female with the male on the road here. Hello, Edward. You want to know if the smell that I'm getting is something like that in a slaughterhouse. I've never been to a slaughterhouse, but I have. We've got the lions to the left, but I have smelt the innards of a sort of freshly butchered animal, and that's exactly what it smells like. Not very pleasant for this time in the morning. So to recap for you, Rosie B, it looks like 7 7 lionesses and the young male. So definitely the Nkuhuma Pride. Hello, Shanae and Susie. You want to know, you say, if they've just made a kill, why aren't they with it? Very good question, to which there is, to my mind, only one answer, and that's that they've finished it. I wonder if that young buffalo didn't cop it quite badly last night, and they may have finished it during the course of the night. I mean, Brent heard the noises at around 9:30, so they may well have just finished it off during the course of the night. Now, cleaning the face, just like a house cat, covered in sort of offal and blood. Squirrels going insane. I'm sure that's because, there's Viam. Just look to the right here. There's another lioness just lurking to the right there that we didn't see, or that I didn't see. Beautifully framed by the colors of this perfect winter solstice African morning. There are a whole lot of squirrels going absolutely ballistic just to the south, north of us. Oh, look at that. Beautiful colors. I think we'll head back to the male now. He's beautifully lit by the rising sun. So now he's contact calling again. So you can't really hear that, I don't think. He's going... I'm very interested as to how they got separated and how he came to be coming down the road that he was. He was a long way from the Pride. Hello, Dave in Toronto. Good morning and welcome to the morning drive. You want to know, you've heard that lions kill each rivals and then will sometimes eat them and sometimes not eat them. And what would cause them to eat them or not eat them? Difficult to say. They definitely do sometimes eat their rivals. I've seen 3 brothers eat their 4th brother after he died of sort of natural causes. Oh, you can see the cut there. Can you see the cut on his nose? That's from being bashed at the kill by his sisters, cousins and aunts. So Dave, difficult to say what the conditions are under which they will eat a rival. I suspect it's probably as simple as them being hungry or not being hungry. I think if this animal had just eaten, like he is now, I don't believe that he would eat another lion, simply because I don't think they taste as good, or they don't seem to, they don't provide the same level of flesh that a herbivore might. But if they're hungry, absolutely they will. It might also just depend on the individual. But it is very difficult to say. Just listen to him calling. Lynn, I believe you have and a few others have been discussing the fact that you call him Tufty. Poor little fellow. He's in that very sensitive, sort of ugly teenager phase. So ideally you need to build him up a bit, Lynn, not knock him down. Something like, I don't know what we should. I think Junior's probably quite a decent name for him, but he does look a bit tufty, doesn't he? He's got a very scraggly beard. Come past the. Going to the female now. I'm fascinated as to why they haven't gone with the others. I think the big males were calling to the south, possibly the Matimba males, and Junior may well be avoiding that area because of them. And I wonder if they didn't come through here yesterday evening and perhaps chase him off, and that's why he found himself away from the Pride. That would be my guess. Hello, Gillian in Iowa. Very nice question. You say, other than the delightful smell of innards and blood that I can smell now on these lions, in the absence of that, do lions have a distinct smell? Well, if you get close enough to them, like if you dart one and get close enough up, you know, I've been that close to a few lions, and I can't ever remember there being a distinct smell from them. I'm sure to the average prey species there probably is, and to each other there definitely is. But to our fairly insensitive noses, not nearly so much as with something like a wild dog, which smells like a wet Labrador. The same with leopards. Hyenas tend to smell quite a lot stronger. They've got a kind of... it's a sort of a pungent, rankish sort of smell that they develop if they're a bit dirty. But lions, no. You know, wild dogs you can almost track from the smell. Not these lions. I'm just going to try. Shall we try and get round them, Viam?
Yep.
So I'm just going to try and move around the other side of them so we can look at their dozing faces. We've tracked the male through. I can see the tracks of our vehicle. So this is where we've tracked the male through. I can see the tracks of our vehicle. Around. Maria in Florida, aged 11. Lovely to have you along, budding young naturalist. We love to have the kids asking us questions. You want to know how long have I been doing this? Well, on and off for about 10 years. And was I afraid, or have I been afraid? The answer is yes, I most certainly have been afraid at various stages. This morning, I got to tell you, when that orange-eyed lioness bore down into my soul, I felt a certain twinge. My heart rate definitely went up. Liam started grinning. So yes, we do sometimes feel afraid, but as you get used to it, you get less and less afraid. And that's not because the animals are less scary, but because you know more about how to react around them. Yeah, I've knocked the aerial down. I've broken the aerial off, sorry about that. Is that all right, Liam? Yep. Hello, Ellen, Dia, and Lisa. You want to know what would I have done if I had felt the lioness had got too close? Would I have reacted in the same way some guys do when elephants come too close and shout and make a noise? Yes, that's exactly what I would have done. I got fairly close to just giving the side of the vehicle a little tap to make her kind of jump out of her solid stare in my face. But yeah, if I had felt the situation was going to get out of hand, I would have stood up and started yelling, and hopefully that would have frightened her off. They're not feeling easy, these lions. There's something, may just be the kill. It may be that the males came in. And I'm interested here that there's only one, that these two have let the others go so far south to where what sounded like some calling lions were, well, calling. I wonder if this isn't Junior's mother. No, she can't be. Looks too young. Maybe a sister? Hello, Georgianne in Illinois. Apparently you and a few others have been discussing the possible fate of Junior and what his chances of surviving are in the presence of the Matimbas, a coalition called the Birmingham Coalition, the remnants of the Majingelani Coalition further south of us. And what chances does Junior have of making it to adulthood and dominating a pride on his own? Answer, not very good chances at all. Unfortunately for him, he's been born without brothers. And that means that he must leave this pride, if he does leave the pride, and I mean the likelihood is that he will, he must leave and go off on his own. Now, it's not impossible that if he, say he meets up with the Birmingham Coalition and they haven't, I don't know how old they are, I don't think they're that old though. If he meets up with them and they are not dominating a territory yet, he may well be able to actually join them and become part of that coalition, especially if they're a sort of similar age to him. But if they're already dominant or starting to chase the other males off, then he's not going to be able to do that. But it's not impossible. It's also not impossible that he will disappear totally from this area. There's something going on there. Can't see. Did hear another contact call. There we go. There's another line coming. The Pride is coming back. Just see her through there, Bill. Can you see her? Yeah, pretty much. You know, you stick there, you'll see her just moving in the shadows there. So, to answer Georgia, in summary, his chances are not great at the moment, but we never know. Hello, Sandra in Georgia. You're also worried about the fate of young Junior and how he found the Pride, if it was the Matimbas that chased him off last night. He would have come back to where they were. They wouldn't have gone looking for him. So when we found him, he was coming to find them. And I'm pretty sure that they killed somewhere around that waterhole this morning. And the other Pride is definitely coming up now. Or the rest of the Pride, certainly one of them. So Sandra, yeah, they wouldn't go looking for him. He'd have to come and find them. They're just walking through this bush, making contact calls. I've never seen them behave like this. Junior's up. No. They're not contacting her. They're standing and looking. And she's calling. Just see if you can hear her. Ooh, that's what she's doing. That was me, not her. And these two are not calling back. But Junior is standing very obviously. There we go, now they're walking towards her. Hello, Charlie. You want to know, with my experience, have I ever been with so many lions before? Yes, I have. Charlie, the most I've ever been with in one place is about 30. We had a huge pride where I used to work. At a place called Ngala, not too far from here. And there was a pride at one stage called the Johnniesdale Pride, and they were about 30 lions strong. Now just look at the beautiful way you can hardly see that other lioness there. Look at her coming through the bush there. Oh, that's a wonderful picture. And this female going into a very stalking pose. It's very playful. The black tail flicking. Now look at the size of the belly on the lioness coming towards us. They have absolutely feasted themselves last night. Her face is covered in gore. Her shoulders are covered in gore. She's had her head right in the bowels of some hapless animal. I very much suspect either the buffalo cow or the calf. Or maybe the youngs, maybe that the yearling. Except I don't think they would have finished the yearling in a night. I can't explain this level of movement, but for the fact that something has got them a little bit stressed and worried about what's going on. No, really. And you can see the fresh blood on the top of her nose there, and that's from one of her rest of her pride who've smacked her on the head as they've fed. And now coming to join old Junior. They'll go back to whatever it was they ate, remnants of it. It would be quite nice to see. So we'll follow them along. I'm just going to go out onto the road, Vilm. I think that's where they'll come. Hello, Sandy in New York. A lovely question. You want to know, do lions act differently after eating a kill? The answer is yes, they do, but normally not like this. Normally what they'll do is lie down, possibly sometimes in their own excrement, and do nothing, and just for hours and hours and hours, and then they'll go back and maybe feed a bit more and do the same. I've seen a lioness asleep with her head inside the bowels of a giraffe. So this behavior, to me, is an indication that something has unsettled them. And I can only think that must have been the infiltration of some other males, some strange males. Possibly not the Matimba males, possibly, and for those who don't know, the Matimba males are the sort of two dominant males of this area at the moment. Lovely picture of them going through the bush there. So possibly another coalition that came through. Now get a shot of Junior there. Junior's exhibiting something there called phlegmon. He's obviously doing it with his head turned away from us, which is a bit irritating of him. Basically what he's doing is he's sniffing, he's checking the females for their receptivity and their estrus state. And if he continues to do that, it can only mean that he's now getting ready to start sort of trying to mate because he's old enough. But that is going to result in his life becoming quite tough, because the big males of the area probably won't tolerate it. You can see how much bigger he is now than his erstwhile pride mates, sisters, cousins and aunts. And he'll get a little bit taller than he is now, but he will also get a lot heavier. So now that smell of carrion is quite strong in the air. I don't know if it's coming off them or perhaps off what they killed. Smell that, William. It's not delightful. Hello, Sandy in Indiana. Can a male lion tell if a cub is his or not? Very interesting question. So you've obviously read of the infanticide that takes place when new males take over territory, and you're wanting to know how on earth a male can tell whether the cubs are his or someone else's. And can they smell? Sandy, I'm not convinced that they can tell kinship from recognition. I think that the fact that they don't kill females has much more to do, or kill cubs has much more to do with the fact that they have been in and around the area for long enough to know that potential offspring are theirs. And by know, I don't think it's a conscious thought. I think it's just an instinct. So I don't believe that they do recognize by sight, maybe by sight, but I don't think by sight and smell. They spend so little time with the babies as youngsters. I'm really not sure that they do. There may be some kind of kinship smell, but if they do come into a pride and kill the youngsters, they don't it's highly likely that those youngsters will belong to only one father. And so it would be very unusual for them to go into a pride where some of the youngsters were from a previous coalition and some were from theirs, and that they would then separate them out. That wouldn't happen. So this is the water hole, or the drainage line that leads to the water hole where Brent said he thought he heard a buffalo being traumatized by lions last night. And this is where we began our search this morning. So it'd be fascinating to know if they do have a kill here, why they would have left it. We had a question as to why they would have left it if it had been unfinished. I don't know. Something is amiss. Well, they're in. I'm going to stop here for 1 second and just see what they do, and then I'll reposition. Hello, Derek. You want to know how you identify different lions. Derek, with difficulty. It's not like leopards that have a spot pattern above the whiskers, which is unique to them. So we identify lions in a number of ways. I'm going to follow the male because I think if there is a kill, I think that's where he's going. Derek, the easiest way is to do it from the pride, so you know which pride is in where, by their territory, etc. And also from the look on their face. So you eventually start to learn where they have different scars, little issues with the ears, chips or bites taken out of the ears, and that sort of thing. But it's not easy, and I mean, I've been with a lot of experienced people who have made some very bald-faced calls about what lions they think are what, and it's not easy to tell. This lion will be if he survives another 4 years, he'll be unrecognizable from what he is now. Hello, JJ. An extensive question. A good one. Do I see any injuries on them that could have been caused by something other than sort of normal lion feeding behavior? The answer is I don't. I see pretty much normal, little cuts above the nose, which would come from when they slap each other. Hyenas wouldn't have done that. Elephants could have come through, but they wouldn't have scattered far if elephants had come through, like you have guessed. Hyenas, it would have to be an enormous clan of hyenas to have put these guys off food, and I haven't seen that number of hyenas here yet. So my guess is male lions, and some sort of other lion activity is probably what's causing this. Would you just excuse me 1 second? I must speak on the game drive radio. Station's looking for James. Come in. Diana, come in. Are you looking for me? I've got 3 of the Pride on the road south of the drainage line that runs east from Treehouse Dam. So this is the first time again that I've seen the Pride actually separated from each other. I've only ever seen them all together. I'd be fascinated to know if anyone else has seen them split up like this before, and how far south they've been seen before, because this is definitely way further south than I've ever seen them. They're now into kind of the northern parts of the Styx territory, if I'm not mistaken. The Styx Pride, for the new viewers, is the pride that sort of dominates the reserves south of us, and they do come onto here every so often, but and up to this area. We are quite far east for the Styx Pride, and maybe that's why they're here. So they may have been, they may have even been disturbed by the Styx females, but I don't think so. The other possibility, of course, is that those males have killed something south of us. And these guys have gone, the rest of the Pride has gone across the way there and is sharing the kill because their kill is finished. I mean, I'm really guessing here. The probabilities are very difficult to work out. Go ahead. They just come along the road that runs to the south of Treehouse Dam, parallel with the drainage line in the easterly direction. Not sure what the road name is. Confirm on foot. Not for a long time. Affirmative. And now you can see why and how the carrion will eventually disappear from the faces of these animals. While this is very good for social bonding, it's also, of course, very good for cleaning. Just the last remnants of last night's supper. nice to lick that off your friend's face. Now, apparently the Birmingham Pride at the moment, or Birmingham males, and Birmingham is the property or reserve just next to where I used to work at Ngala, so it's quite nice to have heard something from the old stomping grounds. They are just north in Buffelshoek at the moment, so there's definitely a bit of action going on, male lion-wise, in the area. So if I was Junior, and fortunately for Junior, he's probably blissfully ignorant of what's going on around him, but if I was him, I'd be fairly skittish. So my postulation is that his days are numbered, but I may be entirely wrong. You never really can tell. The other lioness is having to clean her own face, and she's making quite an effort to do it. Just like a house cat might. They've definitely settled down quite a lot now. Much less stressed than they were when we saw them. Hello, Georgianne in Illinois. Two lovely sort of discussion points from your comments. First of all, you say that the Nkuhuma, the Birmingham coalition, is older than young Junior here, so his chances of joining them are diminishing at every second. And you say they're known to be mean and that they've killed one of the Nkuhuma females. Lion behavior generally, Georgianne, is what we might as human beings describe as mean. They are not, while we look at them gently licking each other there, they are completely mercenary about how they behave. They are not known for any kind of nobility, I must say. And the Lion King has given us a completely false sense of their nobility and their sort of kingly virtues. They are very rough characters. They're more like street gangs than they are a royal family. And so that's why the Birmingham Pride or Birmingham Coalition will seem so much meaner than perhaps they might be. All male lions will behave in that way. If they come into an area, they will kill lionesses if the lionesses are, especially if they show them any kind of resistance. And when they're young, and they're not dominating an area, they don't really know how to behave yet. You know, they really are like a street gang of young boys. Compared with the average lion sighting that we have here, this has been just spectacular with him actually doing something. One of them is looking quite closely behind. One who's unfortunately had to bath herself. And I wonder where the rest of the pride are and what they're doing and why they've split up like this. Hello, Steve. You've noticed the panting you've noticed the panting that the lions sort of engage in. Look at Junior's belly there. And you want to know why. Does it aid in digestion? I'm sure it does, because it oxygenates the blood around the stomach, which in turn helps to absorb the nutrients that the enzymes are busy extracting from the meat meal that they ate last night. The other reason that they pant after they've eaten a lot is that they eat until they literally cannot fit another morsel into their bellies. And that, of course, causes the stomach to push up against the diaphragm and push up against the lungs and reduce the amount of space in the chest cavity. And so the lungs can't expand like they do normally, which makes it very difficult it makes it hard for them to breathe. If you think after an enormous meal, especially something that's quite full of wheat and gluten and that sort of thing, so if you think about an enormous pizza meal that you have and wash it down with 2 pints of beer, you think about how difficult it is to breathe, or how difficult it is to do any exercise after a meal like that, and how you'll pant. And that's a fairly similar thing to what's going on here with these lions. And just sometimes when they eat, they get so full that they don't know what to do with themselves. I've seen them even fuller than old Junior is there now. One of the lionesses is not quite flat yet. She's definitely heard or seen something in and about the area. It might be a bird, it might be the rest of the pride. There's definitely some noise behind us. Shirley in Edmonton in Canada, thank you for your question. You would like to know, what is the worst smelling animal I've ever run across? I'm going to assume you don't mean literally run across, you mean come across. The answer to that is, what would it be? A hyena that's just scent marked is offensively smelly. Lions, like I say, if they're clean, they don't smell too bad at all. Wild dogs tend to smell a bit rank, but sort of wet doggy. But that's not too much of an offensive smell. So I suppose it would have to be the sort of a hyena, and the anal gland scent marking that they make is pretty gross to smell. So that's probably it. The other thing that doesn't smell great is especially after its marking, is a civet. They don't tend to smell wonderful. The smelliest possible animal out here is a striped polecat, and that's like a skunk. And they will definitely, at the slightest provocation, squirt a foul and evil-smelling liquid about the place that will leave you gasping for air and rushing away. But surely, in seriousness, most of the animals will try not to have a strong smell, because obviously that then will attract the attentions of predators or enemies or other things like that. So they like to leave a scent in a place to mark territory, but they very seldom like to actually smell bad themselves. Hello, Terry in Massachusetts. Thank you very much for your update there. You say you have seen, since the November drive started last year, you have seen this pride split up. Two of the sub-adults have split up, junior and another female have split up. So it's not unusual that they do this from time to time. That's fascinating information. Thank you very much for it. I'm still wondering what exactly happened here, though, and why. I suppose now with the heat building like it is, the chances are the rest of the pride will settle down for the rest of the day. Hello, Edward and Carol. You're asking about the black tips to the tail and the black tips to the ears. Very, very nice questions, and it's interesting discussion points. Basically, as far as we know, any unusual thing on the back end of any other animal, so something that can be viewed from behind, is an indication of that it's some sort of following mechanism. Now, there are two colors that do not occur out here very frequently. The one is white and the other is black. Now, I'm talking in the vegetation. So if you look around the vegetation that's surrounding that animal there, you see browns, you see greens, you see greys, and all shades in between. But no white, no pure white color, and no pure black color. Now, if you want to attract the attentions of something, especially if you're a pride of lions and you're on the hunt, that black patch, if you watch them walking through the bush, is actually really obvious. And it would seem to me, and to quite a few others, that the clearest sort of indication for what they're for, that black pom-pom tip tail and the black tips to the ears, that they are a following mechanism, especially for when they're hunting. Now, they hunt largely at night in this area, but if you see in purely black and white, which lions do, as far as we understand, that black actually does stand out. It absorbs more light than a white patch would at night, or any other patch, and so it becomes quite visible if you see it purely in black and white. Now, a leopard has a white tip to its tail, and why it's white and not black, I'm not really sure, except to say that it's definitely also a following mechanism for cubs. It's only the underside of the tail that's white on a leopard, and so when they want to be followed, they stick it up and walk through the bush, and that helps the cubs to follow them. I've also seen them use that tail tip to, when birds start alarm calling around them, they flick it up as almost as if to say, don't worry about me, I'm not coming after you, and it does tend to becalm the bird slightly. So that might be a reason for why it's white. But any kind of following mechanism out here is normally white, or in the case of the lions, pure black. So like I was saying, I'm not sure what else these lions are going to do, and I'm pretty sure that it's getting quite warm now. I mean, it's not getting hot by any stretch, but it's certainly getting warmer. And as we know, lions like to do nothing, and so they are probably, the rest of the pride may well just go down to ground now and rest for much of the rest of the day, and maybe they'll join up later this night. So we're going to head across to Brent. I know that he managed to find that leopard earlier. I know he managed to find it again, but that it disappeared. And if anyone is going to re-find it, it's going to be Brent. So we'll go across to him, and we'll see you a little bit later.
Welcome back, everyone. We are having a slightly troublesome morning. Shadow female leopard is living up to her name at the moment, and all we're seeing is shadows. We saw her again briefly after you were with us, and she looked like she was stalking something in a very thick bush. So she disappeared. I heard squirrels alarming this area, so I drove in here and I've been sitting and listening, and obviously as soon as I got here, the squirrels stopped alarming, but she's definitely in the area. So we're going to do one big loop around here again, and welcome, hopefully. With you guys on the back, you're going to give me a bit of luck, and we'll be able to find her just because you've joined us. That would be very nice. If you are new viewers, welcome. I hear you've been having a fantastic time with James and the Nkuhuma Pride, and we did find a female leopard very briefly this morning, and she went into some very thick bush. We saw her again briefly, and then she looked like she was stalking. Oh. Sorry, just listening for alarm calls. That was a very strange call from a long-tailed shrike. I think it's worth having a look, because this is the same area we heard those squirrels alarming. Just try to get back to the road quickly. Bird that was going. So we're going to do a big loop around here. So the last place we saw her is probably where you're looking down this road, probably 300 meters down that road, but she changed her direction and started heading this way. She was moving quite quickly, sort of jogging like she'd heard or seen something. And unfortunately, some very big timberwoody thickets that are basically impenetrable with a vehicle that she went into, and that's where we lost her. So fingers crossed, you guys are going to bring me some luck, and we're going to find her. So just to warn you, at some point a gremlin has climbed into my game drive radio. So unfortunately we have R2-D2, as Andrew has aptly named these radios, back with us. So I do apologize for any beeping and chatter you do hear. Hi Rume, welcome on the back of the vehicle on the Sunrise Safari. Rume would like to know, is Sindile back with Shadow? For those of you who don't know who Sindile is Shadow's 9-month-old male leopard cub. I did not see Sindile. I only saw Shadow, and it was very brief, both visuals. So I'm hoping she stayed with us and hasn't crossed west. But I haven't found any tracks, so I'm hoping she maybe moved back towards Impala Plains. So just from where we found Shadow this morning, I'm quite confident the leopard we were looking for yesterday was Shadow. It's very close to the area where we had those tracks in the morning, and we went back during Sunset Safari to check that area extensively. Kathy from Memphis, welcome on the back of the vehicle, Kathy. Kathy would like to know whether we use dung to help track animals, and is this part of our morning newspaper read? It is, Kathy. Most definitely. If we find fresh dung, it's an even better indicator of how fresh the tracks are, especially if it's sort of still steaming. But we definitely do use dung in our tracking, and we will look at lots of different dung in the mornings as we move.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Jason, I was on the radio pilot, Copy, thank you, and good practice over there.
Hi, Bulleray is very observant, and I just need to do this quickly. Apparently, because I have sticks and leaves and whatnot on my bonnet, I must have been doing some bundu bashing trying to find shadow while I was off air. That is a slight possibility. I'm not going to admit to it, but it is a possibility. Not too bad, because Andrew's still on the back.
I saw a truck.
So if shadow is in the area, it is a possibility that Sandila's around, so that's why I just want to double check. No, it's Howard the hyena. While we keep looking for tracks, there's something a little bit more interesting than me gabbing on happening. So we're going to cross back to James, and hopefully we'll be back a little bit later with a leopard.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Jigga. You can see the rest of the Pride is now arriving, and they are just pitching up now. They've come from the south, which we hoped, or we didn't know, we wondered if they would, and here they are. I don't know what they've been doing in the south there. She's greeting each member in turn. There are another 3 lionesses coming up from behind us. And Junior is very wary of what's going on. Now, where are they going from here? This could be quite interesting. They may, of course, just lie down and do nothing, but maybe they're going to lead us to their carcass or what remains thereof. I'm going to go past this one just on our left here. She's very close. If she decides she'd like to sit on your lap, just tell her to get off. Okay, Here we go. Here we go. Lioness is pretty close by there. Totally unfazed by the vehicles. Right, now we're going into the drainage lines that's just near Treehouse waterholes. And drainage lines are often where they kill big animals, lions, because animals tend to slip as they run down into them, especially in the case of giraffe. Watch out there. It's very stealthy, you can see we are. What the best route through here is going to be. Stand back a bit and go across this drainage line somehow. Signals up. Let's try and find it. Anna Marie, nice question. Do all felines have the same black and white vision that lions do? To a large extent, yes, depending on when they're active. So most cats are nocturnal by nature, and so they will have black and white vision. I imagine that a cheetah, which tends to be a lot more diurnal, probably has a bit more color vision than these ones do. Male just through there, Leon, but I don't think we can get through here. I'm just going to go a little bit further back and round and see if we can't get through. I can see them through there, but this Land Rover is not very bendy. It's more of a blunt instrument than any form of instrumental subtlety. Especially when operated by me. Just try and get round there. We might be able to get through here. Now we are definitely approaching the water holes. So I suspect the carcass is somewhere around here. Hi, Kathy in Nevada. You want to know, do these lions ever seriously injure their pride mates in feeding fights? Not that I've seen. I'm sure it does happen though. It's normally, they snap at each other and they hit, but they don't kind of follow through on attacks. There's so yeah, there is a buffalo there at the water hole. Just have a quick look at him. He's having a drink. Can you see him there, Bjorn? He's having a drink, and I suspect he's lost a friend. I can see the lions just through in front of us. Just see if you can get a shot of him there. It's always nice to have a look and just see what you have to be looking out for if you happen to be on foot. You can just see a tawny shape moving through the bush there. Carry on there. And there's one. One of them's gone to ground. Sleep. Certainly dozing. Out there. Yum is now forming something, an athletic feat with the aerial. I wish you could see him. Hi Dave in Toronto, lovely question about vultures. Dave, you want to know if there is a kill in the area, how long will it take for the vultures to sort of come around? There aren't any at the moment. Remember, if this kill was made last night, and I mean, I'm surmising, I can't see any form of a carcass just yet. This kill was made last night. What they will do, well, the vultures, here comes Junior in front of us. I'm just going to wait and see if they don't settle down before I bash in there. Junior's just in front of us. What they will do, Dave, is vultures, is that when it gets warm, so we're probably sitting at around 8:30 at this time of the day, and 8:15, and it's not warm enough yet for the vultures to fly. I mean, they can flap from tree to tree, but they can't soar in the current air conditions. So they'll wait till about 9 o'clock for the thermals to start coming up. Look at this beautiful young lion. Hello, old boy. Good luck. Dave, I will get back to your question. He's a stunning young fellow. So, Junior's heading towards the water hole. I wonder if he won't go and drink. He might. I think let's follow him. So Dave, vultures need the thermals. In summary, the thermals in winter normally will start rising off the ground at about 9 o'clock in the morning. And so they'll then go up. And if there's a kill in this area, it's a decent sized kill, it's likely they'll see it and they'll come down. And they'll follow each other. So if the kill has been made last night, the vultures, and there is something left, the vultures won't be aware of it yet. They don't use smell in this part of the world very much. It's almost entirely by sight. The other major scavenger, or one of the major scavengers, is the marabou stork. Ugliest bird I've ever seen. And they tend to use smell. So they could, if there were some around here and there was a rotting carcass, they might be here sooner than the vultures were in these sorts of conditions where the air is cool and it's difficult for the vultures to fly. Sorry, here we go. Make Viam do his contortion thing there. Watch your heads. A buffalo at the water hole. There's no way his Junior will try and take on a buffalo on his own. And here the Franklin's starting to call. We're very displeased to see him. Lisa and Susie, you did indeed hear the pearl-spotted owl calling. The owl that has rejected me outright so many times since my arrival here. All right, Bill? Yep. That's a quintessential postcard shot, that. Virtual starling shouting at him. You can see here that a lion is not fussy about the kind of water it drinks. Something like an elephant will almost always reject water like this if there is cleaner water around. But lions, no trouble with it. You and I would not drink this water. It is basically a collection of some water, an enormous amount of buffalo dung, and a huge amount of mud. You can hear the rattling sticklers now calling. That's because of him. Can you hear his drinking? Wonderful sound. Now, lions and leopards are almost water independent. They don't have to drink very often. They get a lot of moisture from what they kill. They do tend to drink after they've killed. I think it probably helps them with their digestion. But when they do drink, they tend to drink an enormous amount. Quite sweet how domestic these animals can look when they're doing things like drinking water. Alright, well, as old Junior takes an enormous water break here, I think we're going to go across and see what Brent has managed to find. I know that he's, just look what he's looking at. Not much. So we're gonna go across to Brent now and see what he's doing, and I'll stay with the Pride for a bit longer, and we'll see you a bit later.
Welcome back, everyone. Since we have been unable to follow a shadow, we've now found a bird we don't see that often sitting up there, and I wonder from that brief visual if any of you can tell me which bird it is. Sitting out in the open, looking for possible insects to catch. We'll try and move now so you can get a front visual. See if you can tell me which bird this is, and you can send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter. Fortunately, not being a very accommodating bird by turning, so you can see his face. I'm going to try and move a little bit, see if we can get a better view. Well, at least it's being accommodating and not flying away while we move around. So I hear you've been having a fantastic time with James and Junior while with the Nkuhuma Pride. Ooh, looked like it was going to fly for a second, but we got a nice view of it here. Don't fly. So, quite a big bird. Come on, turn your head again. Oh, looks like we have an answer already. Well done, Raisa. That is correct. It is a purple roller. I think they've given it another name as well at the moment. I can't remember which one it is. I'll just find my book quickly. Where's my bird book gone, Andrew? What have you done with it? See, when anything goes missing on the vehicle, it's always the cameraman's fault. It's never our fault. But well done, Raisa. While we're here, though, this is a nice spot to do a Who Dung It competition. So I'm going to meander around and find some dung, and you guys are going to tell me who dung it. Number one. Number two. Number three. Now there's a special one I'm looking for now. I did see some around there somewhere. Aha! I found it. And number 4 and number 5. So here we have a Who Dung It competition, and who is going to be able to tell me what this is? So we've got 5 different animals' dung here, and we're going to ask you guys to try figure out which animals, let's move that out, there we go, have done the dung, and also which out of these, it's a double question, which out of this dung are ruminants and which ones are not ruminants. So here is number 1, and what I will do, I'll break open a piece so you guys can see inside. Let me just get the sun on it. How's that, Andrew? Very good. Okay, number 2, break one of them open. Number 3. Number 4, we don't need to. And number 5. So, let's see who can figure out who dung it. And while we wait for those answers to come in, we're going to chat a little bit about something you guys have been chatting about with James quite a bit, and that is the following mechanisms in animals. So you guys have chatted about the black marks on the back of a lion's ears and on the tip of their tail. And apparently there was quite a lot of discussion about why a leopard's is white. They do have the black on the back of their ears, but the white tip to their tail. And the only reason I can consider is so a leopard doesn't accidentally follow a lion. No, of course I'm joking. I'm actually not 100% sure about that. Oh, I've lost my radio. I'm not 100% sure. Quite interesting. We're going to have to maybe think a little bit longer and try to figure out what that is. But also other antelope or other animals, including antelope, do have following mechanisms as well, like waterbuck, who have that white ring around their bottom, and that is another following mechanism. And we even have a question from Gemma. Why do animals like impala have those white markings around them? Gemma, if you look a little bit more closely at an impala's backside, it's not actually only white. There's also black and a different shade of brown. And one of the theories for that is that it is actually when they run away, those different colors, because remember a lot of the predators see in black and white, is to aid in confusion. And that's also one of the theories why zebra are black and white. When they're all running together, it's quite difficult to single out an individual. So that is the one theory about those different stripes on the back of an impala's bottom. And it is to cause confusion when a whole herd runs together and tries to sort of confuse the predators. Obviously, with all this stuff, it's a lot of theories, and it's very difficult to say that is the absolute gospel. But it is a good theory and a plausible theory that does make sense to me. And then with the waterbuck, the white ring is definitely from a following mechanism. Let's try to think other following mechanisms. Warthog, when they run through long grass or not, their tail pops up like a little aerial. So there's another following mechanism. That's not a color following mechanism. That's actually sort of a visual following mechanism. Can you think of any others, Andrew? Well, in other things like in Nyala and kudu and bushbuck, they have that white flash up that when they're disturbed or whatnot, and that is to signify. It is also a following mechanism, but a slightly different type of following mechanism. That's to signify there's danger in the area, and anything that's white and black in the bush stands out. So as soon as they flash that white, all the other animals of the same species around know there's a potential threat, and they need to get out of there. So we have some answers.
Kiana, come in, Kiana.
So Pam in Colorado says wildebeest, kudu,
So we have less than time.
impala.
I'm going to go check the hyena den.
Sorry about that. R2D2 was going. Oh, look at that. Incredible. I don't know if we can actually catch it. There's a little inchworm. Let me move my hand out of the light. On top of the wildebeest dung. And Pam in Colorado, you got that one right. It is wildebeest. But look at that. There's a tiny little inchworm. See? Sorry, I removed you from your existence on the ground there. Don't know. Can you see it, Andrew? Not yet. I mean, he's absolutely minute. So inchworms like that actually have legs at the front and legs at the back, and they don't have. Let's see if he wants to come to me. No. So they don't have legs in the middle of their body, and very uncommon to see inchworms at this time of the year. In summer they're quite common. We see them all over the place, and you can see how he moves there. He sort of whoop, whoop. So he's got a set of legs right at his base and his front, and that gives him quite a lot of mobility. You can see how he can stand up there on his back legs sort of and check where he wants to go. Don't worry, I will put him back in the grass before we leave. But sorry, I got so distracted by that inchworm. I know Pam in Colorado said this was wildebeest. That is correct. Okay. So Pam, you are almost correct. This is giraffe. This is not giraffe, sorry. That is impala, that is not elephant, and that is not duiker. So apparently there's quite a lot of variations coming in, so to simplify life, I'm going to give the answers, and then we can figure out. So wildebeest, we know, wildebeest plus inchworm. This is actually kudu. That is impala, we know. This is a very old piece of zebra dung. Now this one's quite interesting. Someone said diker, it is not diker. And let's remove these. So for now, we've got, let's stick with these two here. So if we look at the size, it's very, very similar size to an impala. We can have a look, but when we look on the inside, it's slightly different. And also, it's a very different color. You can see how dark this one, and this is very old impala dung, but it is still much darker than that. And it's a very interesting thing. This is actually a scrub hare, the light colored one, and this is an impala. And the reason a scrub hare's dung is so light colored is that it eats its own feces. So it's recorded up to 7 times a scrub hare will defecate, and once they have finished defecating, they will then immediately eat that up to 7 times to get the maximum amount of nutrients out of what they eat. So an impala, which is a ruminant, doesn't need to do that because it's able to bring it up from its stomach and eat and eat and eat like that. A scrub hare, which is not a ruminant, has sort of developed a way to compete with the ruminant stomach, so to speak, by actually eating their own feces up to 7 times. So very interesting little thing like that. Let me release the inchworm before we take one last gander at finding a shadow. As always, I like to make a mess wherever I go. Good ride, Mr. Inchworm. Don't get eaten by a bird. Marisha from the Lone Star State. Marisha would like to know if we get bush pigs in this area. Marisha, we do, but they are quite rare in this area. I have seen them in the Sabi Sands once, and one of the other reasons, even because they are around, that we don't see them, is because they are very active when we are very asleep. And it's very seldom that we are going to be driving around at 1 o'clock in the morning, and that's when they are active. The habitat is good for them. It's very strange that there aren't more of them here, so I've only seen them once, and I haven't seen that many, so much feeding sign of them. And they have a very distinct feeding sign. They'll sort of mow up an area, they'll dig out all the roots, and you'll have this big area that has been visibly sort of excavated. And I haven't seen any of that feeding sign since I've been in this part of the Sabi Sands. But then strangely, not very far from here, 50 kilometers away, on the reserve where my parents live and I spend a lot of time, we see a lot of bush pig. And we see them up to groups of sort of 9 to 15. And we see them in the middle of the day, at night, all over, all sorts of time. So very interesting. Maybe it's to do with the fact we've got so many predators, or specifically lions in this area, that the bush pig numbers aren't that high. But it is I'm actually not 100% sure, and I've asked quite a lot of people over the years, and it seems even historically there just really haven't been that many bush pig in this area. Thank you very much for that. It is something that sort of sits at the back of my mind quite often, and sort of, why aren't the bush pig here? And there's no real answer for it. Guys, while we keep looking for a shadow, we're going to cross back to Commander Bond and see what he's been up to. Hopefully he's got a surprise in store for you.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Jiga. We have just arriving here at the hyena den. It doesn't look like a whole lot's going on. We left the lions, because they were fast asleep doing what lions do best. We're definitely going to go back there before the end of drive today and just see what's happening there. But for the meantime, let's just pop around here and see if we can't find some form of hyena activity. Mainly because I thought it'd be worth coming to look. Because of the kill that happened in the area yesterday, it might be quite interesting to see if they haven't brought a bone back or something like that. There doesn't seem to be much going on here. This is their termite mound. We'll just stop here for 1 minute and see if we don't get some sort of a head popping out of the hole. The hole is to the exactly in the middle of frame there, where the arm is showing you now. The hole is just round that side. And we'll just stop. Normally, if we come along and the adults aren't here, they get a bit nervous and they'll disappear inside. They might pop their heads out. Just while we're waiting, there's a beautiful starling there, just to the left, over there. We don't often get them caught in such magnificent light. Now, I wonder if anybody can tell me what starling that is. Things to look out for: yellow eye, obviously very blue color. Could be one of two. Beautiful. Very peaceful now suddenly after the mayhem and excitement of the morning. I don't think there's much in the way of hyena here. So that little starling's just picking up bits and pieces of insects and other arthropods, and perhaps the odd bit of muck that the hyenas have dropped. Maybe the odd fly larvae in the hyena's dung and that sort of thing. We'll just drive around and quickly check, and then we'll move on. Gorgeous. This is inactive, I'm afraid, and oops, sorry, the arm just lost an eye on twig, which is a bit disconcerting. All right. Yeah. We will go back to the lions at some stage. There are some other people in the area at the moment, so I just want to give them a bit of a turn with them. I don't think they're going to do anything other than lie down flat where they are. And we'll go and follow up on that a bit later. My plan at the moment is to now go across to one of the other water holes and just see. There was so much lion activity around. There were tracks of adult males around the place earlier, and I just don't know that there aren't some more lion around Juma at the moment. And so it may well be worth just going to have a quick look before we go back towards the sleeping cats. Plenty of hyena tracks around here, but not much in the way of hyena. I know that there's been quite a lot of commentary from you and quite a lot of debate around the black versus white tips to the tails, and I know Brent has been discussing it on antelope species. And basically I think they're probably both as effective as each other at various different times. But one of the things I did read was that something like a cheetah, or not a cheetah, something like a lion, a leopard, has got largely, it's sort of golden yellow color, but the spots are black. And so it's quite nice for it to have a different color following mechanism. That white color there tends to juxtapose against the black and the dark color versus a lion which has a tawny tail, and so the black tends to stand out a bit more. So we have some answers to our starling question. Georgianne and Ruther, you said glossy starling. Yes, but which one? So there are 3 glossy starlings we get here. One is the Birchall's, and it definitely wasn't a Birchall's because it had a long tail. The Birchall's got a long tail and a black eye. That one had a very clearly orange or yellow eye. And in fact, I've asked you a bit of a mean question because you can't really actually tell unless you get an exceptionally close look as to whether that's a Cape glossy starling or a greater blue-eared glossy starling. The best way to tell is when they call. And when I used to teach people in and around this area, I would say that the Cape glossy starling's got a kind of nasal call, and it says to me it sounds like it's saying blue, blue, blue. Whereas the Cape glossy starling's got a sort of twittering song, and to me sounds like it's saying Cape glossy starling, Cape glossy starling, Cape glossy starling. I've never managed to convince anybody that that's what they actually sound like, but to me that's how I differentiate. So that one was one or the other. Greater blue-eared glossy starling or Cape glossy starling. Now, what have we got here? Masses of hyena tracks all over the place. Hello, Jim. You want to know if I have a college degree related to wildlife. I have a university degree, yes, related to wildlife. It was called Wildlife Science, and it was basically a twin major of zoology and what we call rangeland science, which is the study of rangelands, or grasslands and woodlands where animals feed. So yes, that was some time back, I'm afraid. That was my first degree. So we're heading towards the Twin Dams region. I'm not seeing any other lion tracks, but this, if those 2 males are around, this is about where they'll pop out. There are some beefaloes. Now, I'm going to stop here and we'll zoom in and let them relax a little bit. The last 4 or 5 times that I've been to Treehouse Waterhole, which is just near where those lions are, I've seen a herd of buffalo, or a herd of bachelors. And there are none around there at the moment, but for that one that we saw earlier. And I wonder if this isn't the remnants of that herd scattered by the lions hunting yesterday. Let's get a bit closer, see if we can't see who's here and who isn't, more importantly. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you see any others, Viam?
Negative.
So I think it's just the 5 of them, and I can't tell if they are from the original treehouse group or not. There's definitely no cow though, and that sub-adult is certainly not around. These are big old bulls. And that pride that we saw definitely didn't kill one of a buffalo this size. They'd still definitely be feeding on it now. So maybe the youngster, it may have been a kudu and something totally unrelated to what we saw. Lots of cud chewing going on there. Just going to turn around quickly, Viam. I'm just quite interested. There are 2 bataleur flying. While we look at the buffalo, it might be quite a nice idea just to see if those bataleur, which tend to be the first down at a carcass, are not landing to the south where that pride just went and came back from. I'm not going to ask you to try and find the bataleur. They're so far away. Well, you might be able to see them. Do you see them? Well, there we go. I underestimated the skills of the old wildebeest. So they're flying round about the area where the lions went south this morning, and I'm still confused as to why the pride was moving in and out of that area. The tracks came in and out and in and out. I had a nice question from David earlier about vultures, and if there was a kill, would they be around there? And vultures, David, it's starting to get almost warm enough for them to start to fly, and they will follow bataleur. So they'll circle up high and then they will follow bataleur, and that's one of the reasons bataleur fly so much lower than vultures, so that they can get to the kills first, eat before the bigger vultures get in, and then leave. But that bataleur is not going down. He's flying dead straight. These buffalo don't seem particularly stressed out. You definitely can tell with buffalo. Obviously, their expressions don't change much from that fairly, what should we call that? Disdainful look, I suppose, is what a buffalo bull has, especially when his jaw is moving from side to side as he chews his cud. But what does change is their demeanor. A little bit like those lions, mostly, especially like that female with the orange eyes who came across us and they just had their blood up. And you can tell when these buffalo have got their blood up and they've been chased. We're going to head across briefly to Brent. He's found some canids. I don't think the wild dog kind of canid, but another kind which is actually even more unusual in this area. So we'll cross over to Brent and see you in a little while. Battalion's just flying over us now. See you now.
Welcome back, everyone. Not quite the predator I was looking for, but a predator nonetheless, and a beautiful little side-striped jackal. You can see that very distinct white tip to the tail. So we found, I can't say it's a male or female, but a nice relaxed jackal. Oh, sit down. Have a scratch. So definitely one of my favorite smaller carnivores. Side-striped jackal in particular are so interesting and adaptable. And quite an interesting fact with jackal species. We don't see many black-backed jackal up in this area. I haven't seen one since I've been here. I've seen quite a few side-striped, and they are able to fill a niche that a black-backed jackal isn't able to. So black-backed jackal have a really, really interesting distribution. So they occur from the Cape all the way to the Zambezi River, and then there's this huge gap. They do not occur again through the whole of Zambia, northern Mozambique, and most of southern Tanzania till you get to another big river called the Rufiji River. And then they again occur in northern Tanzania. So very, very interesting. And the reason the side stripe's able to fulfill this niche is because they are able to change their diet dramatically depending on the area they're in. So of course, like most little carnivores, they will happily eat quite a few different meat species, and they'll hunt little rodents and birds and eat birds' eggs. These guys in particular are very good at finding ground nesting birds' eggs, so like lapwings and thick knees. But probably one of the more interesting things is that they are able to eat a lot of vegetable matter, so fruits, roots, and insects. I've seen side-striped jackal feeding quite a lot of termites, specifically during the rainy season. Flying ants, so the alates, the future kings and queens of new termite mounds, are very high in protein, and a lot of animals eat them, including lions and leopards. I've seen eat them, but these guys will actually deal with the soldier termites and actually eat harvested termites on the ground. So an incredibly adaptive species. Hi, Lisa Osborne. Nice to have you on the back of the vehicle, Lisa. Lisa would like to know, do they have fleas? Lisa, most definitely. Fleas, ticks, and probably some other parasites that we wouldn't really want to get too involved with. That's why when you do game capture and stuff, you should actually wear gloves when handling any carnivore. And there we go, another very distinct following mechanism that we have noticed and been talking about quite a bit today. So that white tip to the tail will definitely be a following mechanism for jackal pups. And jackal pups will spend about a year with the adults before being pushed out. I just have to move again. Hi Ramey, always great to have you on the vehicle, Ramey. Ramey would like to know, do they usually have a mate? They do, Ramey, but they don't always forage together. So it is possible that the mate would be foraging somewhere else, and only if they found a really large food source would they call in the mate to come feed. So it looks like this jackal has decided it's warm enough now that it's time to move into the shade and have a little rest. This is a very, very relaxed individual. Let me just get Andrew in the right spot. How's that, Andrew? Hi, Debbie. Debbie would like to know whether jackals and foxes are related. They are, as in that dogs and jackals and all are related. They're part of the Canis family, or the dog family. So actually one of the most interesting sightings I saw this year, unfortunately it happened off air, but was of quarantine male leopard killing a side-striped jackal that was being chased by two hyenas, and they actually chased the hyena the hyena chased the jackal to where Quarantine was lying on the grass, and he jumped up and he grabbed the jackal, and then got chased up the tree by hyenas. And unfortunately, the way he grabbed the jackal actually didn't kill it; it broke its back. So the jackal was actually quite alive for a long time, and the hyenas sort of circled it but didn't want to get snapped, and just sort of waited for the jackal to die before one of the hyenas ate the jackal. So while we're sitting with a nice little canid, so wild dogs, even though they are related to dogs and jackals, are quite separate. They diverged quite a long time ago from the other Canis species. That's why they have the different Latin name. But who can tell me how many canids we have in South Africa? How many dog or jackal species or foxes do we have in Africa? Oh, in South Africa, sorry. Let's keep it a little bit easier for now. How many sort of the Canis species or dog and jackal species do we have in South Africa? And you can send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag #SafariLive on Twitter. Hi, Ramey. Thanks again for another question. Ramey would like to know whether jackals den in abandoned holes. They do. Generally, an abandoned aardvark hole, just like warthogs, wild dogs, hyenas, honey badgers sometimes, and other things. So the aardvark provides very good homes for a lot of other animals, including porcupines. There's another one I forgot. Hi Shanae, welcome on this Sunrise Safari. Nice to hear from you again, Shanae. Shanae said she noticed years ago that there were more black-backed jackals seen in the northern Sabi Sands, but now we only seem to see side-striped. Is it possible that they are taking over from the black-backed jackal and pushing them out of the area? Well, Shanae, definitely not. I'm not sure why the black-backed jackal population in this area has gone down, but they are smaller and less aggressive than the black-backed jackal species, and the black-backed jackal has actually been known to push side-striped jackal out. Therefore, you often find side-striped jackal quite a lot further away, so from the main rivers and that, and in the woodlands where they don't get the pressure from the black-backed jackal. So I've got quite an interesting little thing. There's a study that was done on side-striped jackals in Zimbabwe. And basically there was a guy following them who was looking very much at their what percentage of food that they ate and what made up the majority of their food. And actually with side-striped jackal in this area, vegetable matter made up 72% of what they ate. And breaking that down, out of that 72%, wild fruits made 48%, raiding peanuts from local farms, and maize, beans, sunflower seeds, pumpkin and avocado, all made up part of its this side-striped jackal that was studied meal. And then the mammalian section was actually it was under 30%, live animal, and 31% of that was made up of mammals, 31% was insects, 35% was mammals. Carrion, only 11%, whereas black-backed jackal will feed a lot of carrion. So I said that the side-striped jackal's diet is far more diverse. Birds, 11%, and reptiles, 1%. So that was in an area close to human habitation. And the same thing again outside of human habitation. Wild fruits made up the majority of it, but it was figs, mabula plums, Upaca curcania, which obviously are salamon species, poison apples, jackalberries or African ebonies, raisinberry or grivia species, and then 17% undetermined species. So when they do eat mammal prey, the majority is very small. So mice and rats and gerbils and scrub hares. So but scrub hare seems to be quite unusual, and it's more normally the babies of the scrub hares that are eaten. So very interesting. And out of the insects eaten, there was grasshoppers, cricket, beetles, and larvae of both, but termites, Macromides felicia, so the ones that build some of these huge mounds, were eaten quite frequently as well. Hi, Terry from Massachusetts. Welcome on the Sunrise Safari, Terry. Terry would like to know, do jackals have pups once a year? And that they do. So I'm just going to try to find this other picture for you here. There we go. So very interesting. I was talking about jackal distribution. And there we have Africa. And there you see the side-striped jackal. It stays out of the arid areas, which is a very big part of the black-backed jackal, where there's a lot of carrion. So there would probably not be enough food for a side-striped jackal in the deserts and semi-deserts in this area. And it stays out of the Congo Basin rainforests. But through the sort of savanna and grassland zone, it occurs all the way through into the Sahel regions in West Africa. But if we go across now to the black-backed jackal, remember I said there's that two very distinct and disjointed populations of black-backed jackal. So you've got the whole south and western area, and then there's this huge gap, the whole of Zambia, and most of northern Mozambique, and northern Zimbabwe, and then only starts again right up in northern Tanzania. So very interesting. You probably find at one time the jackal species occurred through, the black-backed jackal occurred through the whole area, but with the climate changing, and the majority of this bush in this area that is there is Miombo woodland. And Miombo woodland is very, very beautiful, but it is got very, very, very poor grass species, so your animal densities are quite low. So there, when a side-striped jackal is able to feed on things like termites and fruit, whereas the black-backed jackal is more strictly confined to meat and carrion. So very interesting. So over the last probably 100,000 years, actually could even be a bit less than that, in the last ice age and stuff, where the climate changed in that central area of Africa, the black-backed jackals would have gravitated towards the bigger open grasslands of the south and the west, and then the north east. So the Serengeti, the Masai Mara, moving north up into Somalia and to southern Ethiopia and southern Sudan. And so the side-striped jackal has managed to keep this niche in between. So very interesting, and they do very well in areas that black-backed jackals wouldn't. Hi, Det from Düsseldorf in Germany. Good morning and welcome on the Sunrise Safari. And he would like to know, do jackals always hunt alone? They do. They don't. They will quite often forage alone, but they will sometimes hunt in pairs, specifically when it comes down to taking slightly bigger prey. I mean, it is possible that they could catch something like a steenbok, but the side-striped jackal would generally try to find something a bit easier. I have seen them collaboratively hunt and harass lapwings to try to get their nests. So that they do hunt in pairs sometimes, but most of the time they do forage solitary. Lisa would also like to know, do they have a set territory? Very definitely, and a pair will defend their territory from another pair of jackal. And once the pups are old enough, they will viciously attack and chase the pups out and send them off to try find their own territories. So I think we're going to leave this little jagalas lying in the shade. So very attent, still listening, smelling, and like all predators, unbelievable opportunist, probably more so than other predators because of their varied diet. And if anything happened to come along that might provide a meal for this little side-striped jackal, I'm sure it would take full advantage. Okay, jackalas. Time to be leaving. We're going to actually have to go back to the book before we leave this jackal. Let's just finish the canids. The question was, how many canids or dog species do we get in South Africa? I'm just going to get a picture of some of them up now. And we'll have one last look at the jackal while I scramble through the book. What a nice spot here. Nice open area, so it's also very difficult for a predator to sneak up like a lion or a leopard on the little jackal. Okay, let me just find the picture. Okay, so in South Africa we have 5 species of canids, or the dog family. John Boy was correct, but he missed one. He mentioned a golden jackal, which is actually further north in Africa. Off the jackal goes, but we'll have a look now. So we've got the black-backed jackal, the side-striped jackal, the bat-eared fox, the wild dog, and the Cape fox. Those are the 5 canid species we get in South Africa. Obviously in Africa there's quite a few more, and all the jackals decided to depart, so we shall do the same. And thank you for being such a kind jackal and not disappearing while we sat next to you, discussing your life history. So a lot of you guys got that right, so really well done. Quite nice to look at one of the smaller little carnivores and not always run around after the big ones. But it has seemed to be a very carnivore morning. Lions, brief leopard visual, nice jackal sighting. So all in all, a very successful sunrise safari so far, and it's not over yet. Cecile made quite an interesting little comment as we drove up on that side-striped jackal. She said, oh, it's definitely a side-striped jackal because of the white tip to the tail. And that is very true, Cecile. It's one of the diagnostic features of a side-striped jackal. And for me, it's quite funny. If you've seen both species, the side stripe in a side-striped jackal is actually not that clear, but the white tip is very clear. But when you look at a black-backed jackal, obviously it has that very distinct black back, but it does have a very distinct stripe through the body. And almost sort of wonder if someone got confused a while ago, and a side-striped jackal should probably be called a white-tailed jackal or white-tipped-tailed jackal, and a blackback could either be a blackback or a side-striped. But very, very interesting that. It is one of the diagnostic features when we are looking at a jackal species, especially if we have a very brief view as it disappears. As soon as we see that white tip to the tail, we know it's a side-striped. And as we were talking about a little bit earlier, the function of that white tip is for following. And the pups following the adults is probably more important with a side stripe than with a blackjack, because they have so much more varied a diet, and they feed off lots of different fruits and things like that. So it is possibly more that the side striped pups have to learn a lot more from the adults than a blackback, which is feeds a lot of carrion. But again, that's just me speculating. I can't be 100% sure about that. So we did see some zebras a little earlier, and I'm hoping they've moved down onto this open patch in front of us. Oh, Rumey! Thanks again for another question. Rumey would like to know the lifespan of a jackal, and if you give me a second, well, I guess it's probably around similar to of a dog, but I'm going to double check now. So probably around 9 or 10 years in the wild. There we go. Just a quick have a look while we're driving. But I guess it's very similar to a dog's lifespan. Obviously, dogs have it a little bit easier. They don't have to forage for their food so much, and they have people to feed them. Pine, and Penny Pine would like to know, do you think our instincts are better in the bush than someone who lives in a big city? I would probably say yes, because we're more in tune to what's around us, and like your eyes and your ears, well, not so much your ears, but your eyes are definitely like any other muscle, and you can train them. And you'll notice if you've taken a lot of people on safari, the first day they arrive on safari, and you say, oh, look at that there, and they'll be, oh, I can't see it, where, but after the second or third day, their eyes start getting into tune with what's around them, and they do start being able to spot things much more easily. So I think the more, like anything, the more you do it, the better you become at it. So I do think that the fact that we're out every day looking around for things enables us to spot things better, and our ears are more in tune to listening for little things. And on the subject of our ears, Anne from Durban says she's a Krugerholic, and due to my discussions about listening for alarm calls, she, on her last trip to Kruger, was able to find a leopard. So well done, Anne, and really great use of what we talk about here. And often we will find animals off the alarm calls of animals far more regularly than we will by just spotting them. So well done, Anne. So those zebras don't look like they've arrived out of this block that we saw them walking into a bit earlier. What you spotted? Oh, very nice, Andrew. Very nice. Oh, come back and land. Might land. Let me roll forward. So Andrew just spotted a little bird. We're going to try and get you a visual of it now. There. Let's just wait. Moved a little bit further away. Where is he? Still there?
Yeah. The branches in the way.
The branch is in the way. Okay, let me move forward or back. Oh, there we go. Where'd he go? Do you still see him?
No, I don't.
Oh, that's very sad. There was a very pretty little bird called a little bee eater. But it escaped. Sorry about that, folks. I'll try keep a close lookout. Very, very beautiful little bird. Let me just see if I can get my bird book quickly and I'll show you what he looks like. Where is my bird book? Andrew, have you been playing with my bird book?
It's a negative.
Under my morning blanket. Alright. Okay. So very beautiful birds, bee eaters. And that particular one is the most common one we get in this area. Very, very pretty. Very small as well, and very fast moving. Number 2. There we go, a little bee eater. And named so because they are very active hunters of bees, and when they catch them, they will beat the bee against the branch so it doesn't sting them while they eat it. So unfortunately it evaded us, but at least you got to see what it looks like. Rearrange everything. Hi Heidi from Zurich. Welcome on the Sunrise Safari, Heidi. Heidi would like to know, do all ruminants lie down when they ruminate? Most definitely not. Quite a lot of them will ruminate standing up as well. So it just depends on the animal and the individual. You'll notice buffalo will often ruminate both while standing and while lying down. So it depends completely on what that animal's up to at the moment, at that very moment. Zebra haven't popped out here. I can't see any of their tracks. Maybe we'll loop around the other side. Ramona from Germany. Guten Tag. The birds are just not playing along with us today. There's a little Cokie Franklin disappearing at high speed. Ramona's got quite an interesting question. She says, it seems to be common practices in the wildlife reserve and the national parks. Ramona, I'm going to get back to you in a second, but my friend, the jumping spider, is back. He has crawled out of my dashboard and hunting again. And he jumped up onto my book. Can you see him there, Andrew?
Yeah.
So, for those of you who might not have been watching a while ago, a little jumping spider came out into the dashboard and nearly made a kill. Right in front of us, he nearly caught one of the pesky flies. So obviously we root for him, and every now and then he disappears into the dashboard of my vehicle and then pops out again when he's hungry. So he seems to be doing well, and there seems to be definitely enough chochos that come visit our vehicle for him to catch. So I'll put him back so he can go back into his little hidey hole. So Ramona would like to, is just saying that she's noticed that it's general practice in South Africa and the national reserves and private reserves that when an animal is injured by another animal or by a natural cause, we don't interfere. We don't call a vet or whatnot. But she would like to know if this is the case with endangered species, particularly like rhino and pangolin. And I suppose wild dog would also fall into that category. It is a very different situation with those animals, and then we will generally, sometimes, it completely depends. If there's a good chance of being able to save the animal, then we will try and interfere. With rhinos being a very difficult subject in South Africa at the moment because of the huge increase of poaching in the last few years, if a rhino is orphaned or injured and there is even the slightest possibility that we are able to save it, we will go to every length. And there are specialized rhino orphanages that are set up. There's actually one being set up on the reserve where my parents live at the moment. So to take and care and nurse for orphaned baby rhinos and try then release them back into the wild at a later stage. So there is things in place for the endangered species, and bringing that up is one of the main reasons why you will not see rhino on our live game drives. They are present in the area, but obviously because we're live, and I don't think our viewers are nefarious at all, but there is a possibility that someone who is nefarious might start watching the show and use the information that when we see a rhino or rhino tracks or rhino dung to work out that there are rhino in the area. So that is why we don't show rhino, and we don't show rhino tracks or sign or dung. So that is the main reason. So we're trying to do our part. Obviously, we don't think any of you guys, most of you out there, would ever use that information for ill, but just in case, because we are live and it is in real time, we try and make sure that we don't show any sign or tracks or the animal itself. Oh, look at that impala's back leg. He's escaped from someone with claws. You see that one, Andrew? There, one with its head down at the moment. There. You can see he's escaped. It looks like a claw mark, but it's healed, and a bite mark even. You can see he's got a bit of a limp there. Oh, we've got a fight. That doesn't look like it's very recent. That probably happened a week or so ago. But thanks very much for that question, Ramona. A very good one. And nice to be able to talk about sometimes the things that aren't as nice as the other stuff we see out here. So we have had an absolutely fantastic morning. You guys have had a great time with James and Nkuhuma's. We were lucky enough, even though it was a very brief visual, to see shadow, and then we scoured that area constant for a good hour and a half, 2 hours, and she didn't seem to want to be found, and she was stalking, so eventually we made the decision to leave that area so not to disturb in case she was still in the process of hunting. And then we were lucky enough to come across a beautiful little side-striped jackals. We had a nice discussion, and nice to see them out in the open and very relaxed. And we also got to play Who Dung It. So a really successful morning. I hope you guys enjoyed being out with James and myself, and looking forward to the sunset safari. So a big thank you for all your questions. We really do appreciate them. It's an absolute pleasure and a privilege to be able to take you guys out on safari twice a day, and we look forward to doing it again with the sunset safari. So from Andrew and myself on the Wendy, we'll see you a little bit later.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Jiga. I greet you with the news that I'm afraid those lions seem to have disappeared, which is very odd. And I can only think it has something to do with the sort of upheaval that's been going on. So we came around, we found 1 or 2 male tracks. We didn't see the males, obviously, otherwise you would have seen them too. And then we came back to exactly the same spot where the lions were, and they are not there anymore. So Viam's postulation is that they may have gone south, back to where we saw them cross originally. So we're going to sort of have a look that way just before we leave. But we're not going to have time to try and find them now. So we're going to stop here and have a look at this Nyala. I believe that it is World Giraffe Day, which is quite amusing to me. I shall tell all the giraffe that I see, if they are not already aware thereof. It is also Father's Day, so to those of you who are daddies, well done. And those of you who are children, which basically means everybody, remember your fathers today. Then I just wanted to make a quick point. Around here we've got some, there's a training school of those people we saw yesterday, you may or may not remember from during the sunset, students who are out here, and they are in and around this area trying to find the lions on foot. Now, viewing lions on foot is one of the most primal things you can do, because before you do it, it feels totally terrifying. You can't believe that you're going to go and look at the world's apex wildlife predator on foot. And yet it is the most fantastic experience, because what happens is that a lion sees us as prey, and so the first not as prey, as a predator. So the first time you see a lion on foot, it's kind of a gateway to understanding our role in the wilderness, because lions will normally get up and run away from us, which is the same reaction that most animals have to us out here. And when you see a lion do that, when you see the apex predator of Africa get up and run away, it touches something in you that makes you firstly realize that we are a predator, and if they do stand their ground and growl, well, it certainly gives you an enormous adrenaline rush. And it's quite an important experience for anybody who truly wants to understand our place in the wilderness, to view animals on foot, especially the big animals, which we tend to be terrified of, and with whom our relationship on foot has basically been based on hunting for so many years, and now isn't. And so it's important that we see how they do perceive us. It's been a just spectacularly wonderful drive, I feel. Wonderful lions calling this morning, wonderful sunrise, and then to find them in such a state of sort of high blood, if you like, their adrenaline up, their spirits up there, knocking around the place, that female with the orange eyes staring into my eyes like this, and almost I felt at one stage like she may sort of take a swat at the vehicle. And it's so wonderful to see them in that state when they're in that rawness, and that they're showing their raw power like that, as opposed to lying down in the shade doing absolutely nothing. So that was a really special time for us. I'd like to thank you all, of course, for all of your comments and your questions, which have been fantastic as always. They've generated an enormous amount of discussion, especially those little bits about the black tails of the lions and the white tails of the leopards, and why the animals have those sorts of things. So thank you very much for them. If you're a new viewer, a special welcome and thank you for being here. Thanks to Brent and Andrew. They're good friends, and I hope they had a good time. They had the action yesterday, and I had it today, which was great. Thank you to Viam on camera, and thank you especially to Tara and the second director, whoever that is this morning. They really do a quite remarkable job. So we're going to hand you over to this Nyala to our left, and we'll see you this afternoon. Thanks very much, and have a great day, all you dads and all the giraffes out there that might be watching.